Okay.
The previous lesson we discussed about uh, temperature. This is the unit 6. Before we will revise some things about temperature and after that we will move to heat. So we said that before we started temperature, actually we started with the states of matter and a theory known as particle theory of matter. I have put the video and this slide also in the Google Classroom, so from there you can check it. So we have three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas, and we said that all these three states of matter are made up of different types of particles. In solid, the particles are tightly packed together. In liquid, the particles the particles have little space between them, while in gases, the particles can move freely. So here is the structure of how the particles would look like. So in solid, if you can see, they are tightly packed together with one another. In liquid, they can move freely, but the space between the particles is much less. While in gases, the particles can move freely and they have a large amount of space between the particles. This is what particle theory of matter explains us, that all the matter, all the states of matter are made up of different types of particles. These particles are in continuous motion or are vibrating depending on the situation. Then we move to the temperature. Now we said, according to your book, temperature can be defined as hotness or coldness of a body. It's not only the hotness, it's along with the coldness of the body. Heat is a separate topic. Heat deals with the hotness mainly, but temperature deals both with hotness and coldness of the body. It also depends on the kinetic energy of the body, the average kinetic energy of the particles of the body. Like I said, the kinetic energy is the energy for the movement of a body or energy produced when a body moves. So, or when the particles are moving, it means that they have kinetic energy. So, the more kinetic energy they will have, the more temperature they will be containing because they will be moving more faster due to the presence of the energy. The less kinetic energy will affect the temperature and the temperature will decrease. The temperature, we said this is an important part actually, and most probably I will ask this one in your examination also. The temperature is the intensive property of the body. It means that it does not depend on the size of the body, amount or type of the particles of the body. Intensive property is like independent property. From there you can match them like independent and intensive property. Temperature is an intensive property. It depends. It does not depend on the size of the body, temperature of the body, type of the body. So it's the same for everybody. The body is small, still it can have more temperature, as similar with what a good body will have. Same goes for one is intensive property, and the opposite of intensive is the extensive property. So measurements like mass, volume, and heat are the extensive properties, which means they depend on the size, type, and amount of the body. So mass can change. If the body is small, it can have a different mass. If the body is big, it can have a different mass. Volume depends on the mass, so automatically it's also an extensive property. Heat also, which we will see in the coming slides, is also an extensive property. So intensive property is independent, while extensive property is a dependent one. How do we measure temperature? We measure temperature using thermometer. You're all aware of that. The first thermometer was invented by Galileo in 1592. This question can come as your multiple choice question. Like who discovered thermometer, or when was the first thermometer discovered or invented? Now we said we have two types of thermometer. One is the mercury thermometer that contains mercury and is used in clinical and laboratory purposes. And we have one alcoholic thermometer used to measure low temperatures. Actually, if you look at in the lab, we have two types of thermometers. One contains a red color liquid, that is alcohol, and the other contains silver color liquid inside it, that is mercury thermometers. These are the two thermometers. One is used in labs, clinics, other is used for simple experiments. Now we have three types of temperature scales. They were discovered by different scientists, and time to time they added different stuff into it. And some countries use, and one Fahrenheit, some countries use centigrade, some use Kelvin. The most popular one is centigrade or Celsius degree, of course. Now, the main important thing you need to know here is the boiling point and freezing point of water. This is what they are all based upon. So for the examination and for your future studies also, you should remember that what is the boiling and freezing point of water in all these three scales of temperature. So centigrade scale as 0 degrees Celsius of water as freezing point. Sorry, it's obviously, I'll change it. And 100 degrees Celsius as the boiling point of water. Again, 32 degrees Celsius is the freezing point of the water for the Fahrenheit scale, and 212 degrees Celsius is the freezing point of boiling point of water. And again, in the Kelvin scale, you can see 273 Kelvin and 373 Kelvin. I guess that these are a mistake, so this should be boiling point and this should be freezing point. You will change them accordingly, or you can check from your book. Don't get confused. Then and this is a new topic actually, absolute zero. It's also related with Kelvin actually. Absolute zero is considered to be a temperature, the lowest possible temperature on the universe actually is known as the absolute zero. According to the value, the lowest possible temperature is minus 273 degrees Celsius or 0 Kelvin. So 0 Kelvin or at minus 273 degrees Celsius, the temperature will be lowest and the particles of the matter will stop moving. So that is known as absolute zero. So lab temperature normally naturally has not been observed, of course, but such temperature exists, and but in that temperature at minus 273 degrees Celsius, nothing will be able to move. Even the smallest particle inside our body or in the universe will not be able to move. So this is known as absolute zero, and this will be also asked in your examination. Now heat, moving towards our new topic actually. The topic of today is heat. So what is heat? In your book it says heat is the form of energy. It is produced by energy changes. So it can be produced when you burn something, for example, heat is produced. When you're running on a bicycle, for example, your body is heated or the chain of the bicycle is heated. So any place where there is an energy change is taking place, heat energy can be produced. Normally, for our universe, the source of heat is, the natural source of heat is the sun. Sun provides heat for the whole universe. Then we have, of course, the artificial heat resources. Heat means energy which is moved between two things, and one of the things is hotter than the other. So that is one other definition according to Wikipedia. Heat energy means it's energy which is moved between two things, while one is hotter than the other. So actually heat is considered to be hot mainly. Other opposite of heat is considered to be colder, and like we said, it's an extensive property of the matter, and it does depend on the size of the body, on the type of the body and stuff like that. So heat is an extensive property while temperature is an intensive property of matter. The SI unit of heat energy is joule. So actually joule is the unit of energy. So anything that has energy. So heat is also energy. So naturally its SI unit is also joule. We can get heat from the sun, the food we eat, electrical energy, kerosene and firewood. Actually, sun, like we said, is the natural resource of heat. The food we eat provides us energy, and eventually, yeah, that energy is also heat energy, because when there are different types of functions going on inside our body our body gets heated up. For example, when you are playing, especially in the school, when you used to play football, basketball, stuff like that, your body used to get heated. That is it. Heat is produced. Actually, your body is burning the stuff inside it so that your body can be cooled down. Why it's being cooled down, we will see later. Kerosene and firewood is actually artificial resources when we eat for the industrial use, for household use, even for our personal use. We use these kind of resources. So we can get heat from the sun, from the food we eat, electrical energy, kerosene, and firewood. Effects of heating. So there are three effects of heating. One is the rise in temperature. So when we heat something, Eventually, of course, the temperature will be increased. A body can be expanded when we heat something, and change of state is the third effect of heat. So heating causes rise in temperature. What happens when we heat something? Actually, when we heat something, we discussed in the previous lesson also, there all the particles are made up of, all the matter is made up of different particles. When we heat those particles, their kinetic energy increases. So when their kinetic energy increases, they start to move faster, and due to their movement, the temperature of the body increases. The particles are moving faster, and eventually the temperature also increases due to their movement. Heating causes change in state, so heat can change solid to gas, solid to liquid, and liquid to gas. It is caused by melting and boiling. We will be discussing melting and boiling in our coming lesson. But yet, if you heat ice, for example, the ice will be converted into water. If you heat water, the water will be converted into steam. So this is what it is trying to say here. So heat causes expansion of a body. So expansion, what is expansion? Expansion is the increase in the size of a body. When you heat different bodies, like if you have seen in the industries where, or the mills where iron is produced or steel is produced, you would have seen that they are burning the iron, they are burning the steel, and it expands, it becomes like a liquid-like structure. In movies also you would have seen. So that is because of heat. So when we provide heat to a body, like I said, kinetic energy of particles of that very object increases, and due to increase that, these particles, they want to leave the surface, so that is why they extend, because they need to move, they need to decrease the temperature, and in order to decrease the temperature they start moving faster, and due to their fast movement, actually the expansion of the body takes place. The increase in temperature due to increase in kinetic energy of the particles causes the particles to move faster and far apart, as it said here. This causes an increase in the size of the body. So yes, like I said, the temperature increases. Due to temperature, the kinetic energy of the particle increases. The particles want to move apart from one another, and that is why the expansion of the body takes place. Again, it's the same repetition. Actually, it can change solid to liquid and gas, and then it is caused by melting and boiling. So here we will see what melting and boiling is actually. So melting, the process of changing a solid to a liquid is called melting. Easily, when we melt uh, ice to the water, it's a melting action, and ice being converted to water is known as melting. So when a solid is changed to a liquid, it's melting. A definite temperature at which the solid body starts to melt is called melting. So there are specific temperatures at which the objects start to melt. For example, for iron, it is 1535 something. At 1535 degrees Celsius, the iron starts to melt. For our water, it's almost after the 0 degrees Celsius. And zero is considered as both freezing point of water and melting point of water. So they are both the same. So whenever a solid is converted into a liquid, we say that it happens due to melting. When you have boiling, in boiling, the process of changing of liquid to gas is called boiling. So when the liquid, for example, when the water is converted into steam, it means that boiling is taking place. The definite temperature at which the liquid starts to boil is called boiling point. So the temperature at which something boils is known as boiling point. For water, we all know that the boiling point of water is at 100 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees centigrade, and along with the different changes, the value changes according to the scales of the temperature we will be using. But normally, like I said, we will be using the centigrade scale or the Celsius scale. So the boiling is the process of changing from liquid to gas. The temperature at which the boiling happens is known as the boiling point of water. Then we have the third thing is evaporation. Actually, evaporation is similar to that of boiling. It is the process of changing of liquid into gas at any temperature. So that's the difference. Boiling has a temperature. For example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but water can evaporate at any temperature. Even while it's cold, you can see the steam coming out of the uh, ice. That is also a evaporation. It's a natural process. Boiling is not a natural process. Boiling is done by our own means. We increase the temperature of the things, and uh, that is how the process takes place. So it's the process of changing liquid into gas at any temperature. It's a natural process. Evaporation can be fastened by exposing a body to the source of heat. So we can make the, for example, body can be brought near this. I mean, if we want to dry our clothes, for example, we will put them in the sun so that they can be easily evaporated. The water will be evaporated and it will be easily dried up. Exposing the body to the source of heat and wind, air also plays an important role for evaporation. And evaporation can be increased by increasing the surface area of the body. So if we increase the surface of area of the body, if you will put a cloth, for example, that is very uh, in form of not open, so that cloth will be evaporated or will be dried up very late as compared to the cloth that is put while wide open and so this is how evaporation is. So there will be difference between evaporation and boiling. So boiling happens at a specific temperature. It's not a natural process, while evaporation is a natural process and it can take place at any temperature. So the end. This is and from my side for today. Sidra, welcome. Sidra, are you there?
Yes, sir.
How are you, Sidra?
I'm fine.
So I will be putting this video also on the classroom, and this presentation is already there, so you can watch the video for the revision. I have put some preparatory questions also in the classroom. Kindly to solve those questions. I have not prepared your final examination, but it will mainly contain multiple choice questions, true, false, and short question answers. There will be no solving, so you will not have anything. Okay.
Which chapter should we read?
Chapters I already informed actually, but unit number 6, 7, and 8, last 3 units you are responsible. Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8. So these units you will be studying for the physics. Like I said, I will make your exam as soon as possible. It will contain multiple choice questions, true, false, and short question answer. It will not be on the, it will be on the Google form. So you already know how to use a Google form. Other details will be informed by Mr. Yasin, of course. So have a nice day. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.